Do you ever just look at yourself shirtless in disgust and feel like no matter how hard you train or how clean you eat, that belly fat just won't fuck off? I've been there, and trust me, it's not as complicated as it feels. It took me 13 years to finally figure out the real sauce and start using it to help people like you actually get shredded. And the truth is, the only difference between people with abs and people with bellies is consistency. So in this video, I'm revealing the secret sauce that makes staying consistent feel effortless. So you can finally lose that stubborn belly fat and run shirtless at the beach confidently in slow motion. Before I reveal the sauce, if you can understand this one concept, losing belly fat becomes 10 times easier. Imagine your body is a monster truck. All the food you eat and drink is like pouring fuel into a tank. And your body burns that fuel all day, whether you're walking, training, wanking, whatever it is that you do. And say you eat 2,000 calories worth of fuel, but based on all the things you make your body do daily, your body uses up to 3,000 calories worth of fuel to get through the day. That extra 1,000 calories of fuel, your body has to get it from somewhere. It doesn't go to the petrol pump. It taps into the stored body fat, and that's your backup fuel tank. That's how fat loss works, and that's a calorie deficit. But the problem is, there are three main reasons, despite knowing all of this, why you're failing to lose your belly fat. The first one is you went too hard too fast. You starved yourself, you watched your friends feast while you sat there nibbling on an apple, and you trained so hard you could barely sit down to take a shit. It just wasn't sustainable, so when you slipped, you felt like a failure, and it crushed your confidence. And secondly, after all that hard work, you're still struggling to see results. And that gets you so frustrated, and you stop believing it would even work, even though your body was changing, but it didn't feel like enough. And this killed your belief in the process. But worst of all, you lost trust in yourself. After quitting enough times, you stopped believing in your own promises. You didn't trust yourself to follow through anymore. And without that self-trust, consistency dies. But my secret sauce fix it all. The real secret to losing belly fat isn't some fancy scientific workout or some magic meal plan. It's simply building trust with yourself. Ask anyone who shredded how they did it. They're all going to say the exact same thing: time and consistency. And in order to constantly execute, they all had one thing in common. They learned to trust themselves. It's just like learning to drive. Driving felt terrifying. Changing lanes, parallel parking, just keeping the car straight whilst fighting with uncles on the road. At first, every little move felt stressful. But over time, as I kept practicing, I built trust with myself. Every small success stacked up until driving felt effortless. And that's exactly what happens with fat loss. At first, it feels overwhelming. Eat less junk, moving more, working out. It's messy. You'll second guess yourself every step of the way. But if you keep showing up slowly and sustainably, you start stacking wins. You start trusting yourself. And the more trust you build, the easier it gets. Because once you know you can do something, it automatically becomes 100 times easier to do. So how do you build that trust? Now let me show you exactly how my client Ishi lost 27 pounds by solely focusing on building trust and no other bullshit. Before this, she tried going to the gym 5 times a week, giving up all her favorite foods entirely, and aimed to do 10,000 steps a day. You know the drill. But not even 2 weeks in, she was already burnt out and she felt defeated. So we reversed and flipped the script. We focused on just building trust by doing the bare minimum. Just 2 workouts a week. That's it. And you'd be shocked what happens when you go from 0 to 2 solid sessions a week for just a few months. You don't just get healthier, you start looking like a unit. But working out wasn't her only challenge. Her diet was, let's just say, creative. In my 13 years of training, I've seen a lot of wild shit, but dipping chips in Nutella every night, that was a new one. Now, we didn't take it all away from her overnight. We simply cut it down from 5 nights of junk down to 3. That small change is enough to make serious progress without leading you to cry in the shower and maybe even think about your ex and their new boyfriend. Calvin, you promised you wouldn't cry on the channel. Now you can follow the exact same approach. If you're smashing pizza twice a week, cut it down to just once or eat a few slices less instead of the whole pie. But the point is simple. Pick something you can actually live with forever. And if you can't, then you need to change your approach. Because let's be real, I'm not going to sit here and say I'm never going to wank again, when deep down I know if I see that old lady's feet in the mall again, it's game over for me. Be realistic and build around who you actually are. And next, we tackle her movement. Her starting step count, 2,000 a day. She was like a houseplant. So instead of aiming for the Instagram dream of 10,000 steps a day, we just bumped it up to 4,000. An extra 20-minute walk, manageable, sustainable, slowly. And we followed the same principle for her protein and sleep. Instead of forcing down 120 grams of protein, we aimed for 90. Instead of sleeping by 10 p.m. sharp, she could get in bed by at least 10:30. And because we kept everything stupidly simple and sustainable, she crushed it. She didn't just lose the weight, she built so much momentum, she became a personal trainer herself. She started competing in new sports, she unlocked a whole new version of herself she never even knew existed. My point is, there's a stronger, better version of you just waiting to be unlocked. And it all starts with building trust in yourself. Because every time you follow through on a small promise to yourself, you cast a vote for the identity you want to become. Each action says, I'm someone who shows up. I'm someone who doesn't skip. And when that trust is built, training 5 times a week feels easy. Fat loss just becomes natural. Consistency stops being a struggle. It becomes who you are. And then over time, that belly fat disappears. It's over. So here's what you need to do to start building that trust. Set a bare minimum number of workouts per week. A minimum step goal you can actually commit to. Set a small protein target you can consistently hit. Set a being in bed time to regulate your hormones so you don't wake up feeling like hangry Godzilla. And set a small cutback on the junk food, like fewer slices, but not zero fun. And if you're not sure where to start with your training or hitting your deficit, check out the simple guide I made for you. It breaks down everything: how many calories you need to eat, the best protein sources, a science-based workout you can actually stick to. And once you nail these basics, you're going to be losing belly fat on autopilot. Now, earlier I told you it's all about time and consistency, and that's true. But if you want the fastest path to results, there's a smarter way to do it. In this next video, I break down the 3-step science-backed system to get to 10% body fat as fast as possible.